with the football game.
Tatum drives down and throws it down. Wow.
To throw, rainbows it down the right side for Kyle Pitts. He's got it. He's there. Touchdown. Oh, my.
And we're back from the hiatus. If you guys saw the emergency podcast, that was like, what was it, 3 months ago? Something like that. In August, that everything died on us. But we are back, and for season 2, I think we're officially claiming this as season 2 of the Sports Bits podcast. You can tell I'm a little rusty on all this stuff, but we have a lot to discuss, at least on the new format wise. We're also going to shorten up basically the new format is that we're going to shorten up these videos so the podcast is not like an hour long. We're going to do like probably 30 to 40 minutes, have like about 3 segments each, 10 minutes, having them be 10 minutes, keep it short. You know, we noticed a lot we rambled in the old season, so hopefully with this new format we'll keep it short, have more fun, exciting content, which also leads me to my next point, which is the TikTok and the YouTube. The TikTok will have a lot more fun content because this man is going to be leading the TikTok charge.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Not me, because I think this man probably has a better job. We'll do a better job, dividing up the work and all.
We'll see how it goes.
And then we're actually
trial run for a little bit.
Exactly. We'll see how it goes. And this man right here is taking all the graphic design work. We're going to be working on a banner for the YouTube. We're going to be working on better thumbnails and also more stuff like that, and maybe better graphics for the YouTube part. And the last thing is for the YouTube wise, we are going to do 10-minute when we do each 10-minute segment, that'll be its own video later in the week. And then we'll have like more fancy highlights, fancy graphics for when we discuss stats and like the season, the standings, etc. So we're going to have James help out with that part of it. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing this season. We're upping the production value. We're upping our workload and everything, and we'll have more people to divide it up, because last season I was doing everything. It was a lot.
One-man show over here.
It was a one-man show, but I have 2 guys to help me out with this. I finally have a plan. We finally have a plan to attack this to make it better and hopefully more entertaining for you guys. The last thing is that we're actually going to move this podcast to more of a general NBA format. We still want to talk about our teams, obviously, but I think a more holistic view of the NBA is going to be a lot easier, considering we don't want to focus just on our 3 teams, but we also want to talk about like more stories that are going on in the NBA. Funny enough, you'll see in the next segment, which these guys will lead, about what we're going to talk about when it comes to like general NBA format. So I mean, that's really it on the new format and the new stuff with the podcast. But welcome back to season 2. Let's get right into it, boys. What do you guys want? Exactly. What do y'all want to talk about? This is the first segment we got.
We're gonna start it off with my favorite team here. Of course, we have to talk about the Kyrie situation. Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, it's hard to even like put into words what's going on right now. But I mean, I'm sure you guys all know what's going on. He won't get the vaccine, so then the Nets will not allow him to play. Or I think there's a mandate in New York City where all the athletes have to be vaccinated to be able to play in the home games. And then the Nets basically said, well, if you're not going to get vaccinated for the home games, he could technically play in the away games, but they decided that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. They want him there for the entire process and the whole thing, so they basically told him that it's either get vaccinated or you don't play. They're docking his pay for every game that he's missing. I don't think he really cares at all, and I mean, it's not like he needs the money necessarily, but I don't know, it's a weird situation because, at least for me personally, I got vaccinated and whatnot, but I don't think it's really about that necessarily, like the whole political aspect of it.
We're trying to stay away from politics. This is a sports-only
podcast. Definitely not a
podcast.
Politics thing. And I don't even think, like, the situation with Kyrie is a political thing necessarily. I know, like, he kind of is on that, saying, like, he's doing it for, whatever reasons. But at least for me, like, as a Nets fan, it's just kind of hard to watch because, like, I want to watch this guy play, and, like, he's got 1 million fans that want to watch him play. He's a great player, obviously, one of the better point guards in the league. So it really just stinks to watch him, put basketball on the back burner like that. And he should want to play, to me at least. I think he should want to play. And I think Charles Barkley put it pretty well. He said, you don't really get vaccinated for yourself. You kind of do it for other people. I think that he should, be on that mindset a little bit more. It's just unfortunate as a fan. You kind of watch him just put basketball on the back burner.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that for me personally, I like to compare Kyrie as Kanye of the NBA or the Re of the NBA, as I should say now, because Kanye changed his name. But anyway, I think it's important to note that he's feeling attacked by the media because I think that the media is trying to tell him like, hey, like you have a job here. You chose this job. You wanted to do this job all of your life. And now when there's a pandemic, you suddenly don't want to get the vaccine and now don't want to play anymore. And I think that that's like, just kind of outlandish in some respect. And, like you said, it's not even like necessarily a political thing. It's just for the betterment of the NBA.
Yeah, it sucks. Like, I mean, so many people, Kyrie's been in the league since 2011, since 2011. And he's been in since for a while now. So it's kind of just like, why don't you want to play? You know what I mean? Like, he should want to play. So it really just stinks to watch him, like, kind of throw it all away. That's in my opinion. And it's like if he gets like traded to like another team or something, which I'm pretty sure he said that if he gets traded from Brooklyn, he's gonna just straight up retire.
Yeah.
Still can't play anyway.
Yeah, exactly. He wouldn't really even be able to play. I mean, Brad Beal hasn't gotten vaccinated, but he was just playing at Barclays Center on Wednesday. So it's like I don't know. It's a whole weird thing, and it's hard to kind of like talk about it without getting into the whole political thing, which is why I'm trying to stay away from that.
We're gonna slowly wrap this up because I feel like if we talk about it more, we're gonna get into politics.
It's definitely a political thing. We don't want to be on that. That's definitely not for us.
Point being, I think he should get vaccinated. I want to see Kyrie play. Honestly, that's the Celtics thing.
I just want to see him play.
So
that's
kind of what it is. I think that's kind of the gist we're getting at, mainly, so you guys understand. But I think the next one is way more interesting to talk about.
Definitely.
So
Real Housewives of NBA.
Housewives of NBA. I think James can lead this one because I think he might know more than I do.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Simmons is a really struggling and frustrating person to discuss in the NBA right now, to say the least.
As a Celtics fan, I'm happy about this.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, like, the fact that he, didn't take the time during the summer or the offseason while they were eliminated from the playoffs to improve his shot, and then continues to slander the Sixers organization by saying they didn't give him the rest of his paycheck, which ultimately ended up being untrue, and then decides not to come to practice or boot camp or training camp for the team, and then finally now they're like trying to ship his ass out on the team, but they can't.
No one wants him. No one wants him because not only like barring the fact that he completely destroyed any trade value that he had at the end of the playoffs when he bricked all of those free throws and clearly had like a mental breakdown on the court. Like, nobody wants that kind of, like, the energy that he's going to be bringing now, because they see that the way that he's been treating the Sixers organization.
He's not a trustworthy player anymore.
Yeah, like, why would you want that kind of energy on your team? And also, like, the Sixers built, like, they're trying to build a team, like, around him and Embiid, right? But, like, he's totally just throwing it away. And, he has, like, this just adamant unwillingness to, like, better himself as a basketball player.
Yeah, and I want to give credit to Embiid for trying to do as best as he can to save his image. Because he's doing whatever he can to be like, Ben, like, stop, dude.
Yeah,
like,
and also he went on, like, I think it was whenever the Sixers had their, like, home opener, he went onto the court and he was like, like, to all the fans, he was like, guys, like, we got to support Ben.
Yeah.
Like, even though everyone's like, I know we don't want to, but, like, we have to.
Y'all didn't mention this, but Ben Simmons was at practice, I think for one of these practices, but then wouldn't do a defensive drill for Doc Rivers and immediately got kicked out by Doc Rivers.
Which, I mean, like, that's fair. If you don't want to participate in the practice, then, like, get out.
Exactly.
I think that's literally what Doc Rivers told him. He was like, Ben, I think you should leave. Because it's like, if you're not going to be in practice, like, why do we want you here?
And I think that is a testament to Doc Rivers, like, as being a good coach and still being able to run his team.
Putting his foot down and be like, I'm not going to deal with this, like, baloney.
Because I was very concerned when he was still coaching the Clippers that, he was going to kind of get stomped all over by the players on the Sixers team, but I'm glad that he still kept that authority on Ben. So,
Yeah, just got to put his foot down for this. Because, I mean, at this point, it's like, what do you do with this guy? Like, seriously, what are you going to do with him? He's not going to get better. He obviously does not want to
get better.
Like, he doesn't want to, that's right. Like, he doesn't have, like, the drive or the mentality to even want to get better. I know he's been going, the practices that he has been going to and he hasn't been kicked out of, there have been reports where he just kind of sits in, like, at, like, the half-court in his own half court, just like shooting or whatever, with a few rebounders and stuff. Not even like with the team, So this guy's just not a team player, obviously. No. And then it's like, who would want that kind of player on their roster at this point? No one. So the Sixers are kind of just stuck with him, and I don't know how many years are left on his contract. It's like 2 or 3, something like that.
Yeah.
So
a decent amount.
Definitely enough.
I don't know why this is not. There we go.
That they have to deal with.
Yeah. Hey, it's more fun for us. Honestly, if this podcast was running, I would have had like an episode every day or every week about Ben Simmons or Kyrie Irving. This would kind of been fun, but we didn't have
like ridiculous drama that's going on.
Great for us media people, bad for the players, but that's kind of how it is. But yeah, I think the next thing we want to talk about is the reactions to Week 1 because we are already in the midst of the NBA season. We are recording this a week after the start, the season opener, a little bit after the first week of the NBA, whatever. You get it, like the 7+ or 10+ days.
About the second week.
We're in the second week. But I want to give my reactions to the Week 1 because a lot has happened. Then the two things I wanted to highlight. Actually, the one thing I want to highlight first I want to talk about with y'all is the East looking really strong this year. Mm-hmm. Overall, this is overall just blanket win-wise, but looking at the individual play as well, I'm actually happy and it's surprised to see some of the teams play really well. The Celtics not as well as we wanted, but the other teams looking really well. Example, the Hornets, the Bulls. Even though I have some things to say about the Bulls being really good, but yeah, they've looked overall really well. And there's not really a definitive terrible team.
So a lot of things with the East right now. I mean, I just checked the standings today, and you will notice that the Nets are in dead last right now in the East.
Wait.
Yeah, the Nets are in dead last.
No, they're not.
In the East, I'm pretty sure.
The Pistons.
Okay, well, Pistons. But point is
they're bottom,
that,
they're the 11th or 12th seed.
All right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, point is that the Nets are supposed to be coming into this season being a championship contender right now, and we can't even beat these, some of these teams. I know, and we lost to the Hornets, and honestly, the Hornets are looking really good. But the idea is that the Nets are supposed to be playing well, but they're just not. And other teams are going to take advantage of that. Like you said, the Hornets are doing really great right now.
I have a lot of good things to say about them.
Miles Bridges, is going off. So yeah, a lot of teams are kind of just the whole landscape of the East is switching it up.
Exactly. And as a fan of the West, what do you think about the West's performance this season?
It's definitely lackluster, and it's definitely more so than we've seen in previous years. But I'm still hopeful for a couple teams in there, like my own Suns, and I'm also
even though they're 1-3.
Yeah, I mean, obviously these are very early start to the season, so there's not a lot to say about them, but. I would definitely say that a team like the Nuggets still could be a top seed later on, and same with the Suns, same with maybe even the Blazers if they start catching fire. The Rockets could be interesting with Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. There's definitely some redeeming teams in the West, but they're all struggling right now for sure.
Yeah, and that actually goes into my next point, which talks about the Warriors. And when I watch them play, I'm actually really excited because the team is not – when you look at the roster, talent-wise, it doesn't look that great. You have, Jordan Poole, Iguodala, Draymond Green, Clay's injured. You got, what's his name? I don't know if Wiseman's injured, so I think they have Kevon Looney at center.
Yeah, but the thing is with them is that they all have played together before and that they've been a – chemistry building team. So
they've always had pretty good chemistry, and also they have players like Steph and Draymond who are running the offense basically. For a couple of these younger guys.
For what it's worth, Draymond running offenses and stuff. But the thing I also noticed with them is the offenses, the play styles that each of the players fit around Steph. It helps the players that they put around him help Steph build off-ball motion, off-ball playmaking, which is what he excels at with his speed and his quickness and his shooting. So that's the one thing. And also, again, Draymond knows this offense and the defense at the back of his hand. So he's able to guide these young players that haven't played that much in the NBA to fit in the system. And Steve Kerr's still there. Steve Kerr is a great coach. We can forget about Steve Kerr because he did terrible last year with a bunch of shot-creating wings like, Kelly Oubre and whatever else they had, Wiggins. I mean, Wiggins is still on the team, so he's still doing all right.
Another, just to throw out there, another team that could end up being really good this season is the Timberwolves. I mean, they're 3-1.
Yeah, they're not
D-Lo's
doing
on
too
my
bad,
fantasy team.
which is pretty crazy because, I mean, the Timberwolves consistently for the past few years and seasons have been just the laughing stock.
Yeah,
exactly.
But, I mean, it is going to be tough for them, I think. Well, I mean, we were just talking about it. The West is pretty lackluster right now. So, I mean, if the West does end up becoming a lot stronger, with some of these teams that are going to hit their stride a little bit, then I think the Timberwolves might get lost in the sauce a little bit, But definitely they're looking good right now. D'Lo, Anthony Edwards is
balling,
beast.
and
He is a beast.
he could talk about it more because he has this on his fantasy team.
I do have Anthony Edwards on my fantasy team, and I will very much appreciate his gameplay as of late. I knew that he was going to be really good his rookie year. I'm upset that he didn't get Rookie of the Year, but all credit to LaMelo Ball. Totally deserved it. But Anthony Edwards is going to be a great player in the NBA. He's already improving in his second year, and he's going to continue to improve over the season. I'm so happy that I got him on my fantasy team. I could easily see him being like a 50 fantasy point scorer.
Oh yeah, every night for sure.
Not like every night, but like on average.
I don't know, dude. I mean, the man is going off. Right
Yeah,
now.
He's getting 30 plus.
Yeah.
He's getting, like they're giving him the shots that he needs. I think, like they're letting him have the ball and stuff like that. Even though they have some veterans like Cat and D'Lo on the team, they're not like being like, oh, you're a sophomore, in the league, you were a rookie last year, like kind of like piss off and let the older guys handle it. No, they're giving this guy like minutes and they're giving him, the shots and the touches that he needs, and he's doing great things with it.
Yeah. The next team I want to talk about was the Bulls, because again, I said something earlier. I want to preface that like I had some opinions about the Bulls, but they're undefeated. I think they're undefeated still. Are they undefeated still? No, they have one loss, but
they lost to the Knicks.
Knicks,
So,
yeah.
I don't know if you saw those videos about the Knicks.
Yeah.
But those guys are going crazy. The Knicks are actually surprisingly very good this season as well so far.
I don't know if it'll last.
I don't know if it'll
It's
last.
definitely going to be a test of the NBA season's a marathon. It's 82 games.
Based off of how it is right now, I would say that they're in the ballpark of doing similarly to what they did last season.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think they're going to make the playoffs again. Now,
But probably losing like the first round.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Depending on how far they go is really up to what their pieces end up doing. Like, I mean, Julius Randle was great all last season.
I have him on my fantasy team.
And he's great.
He's doing good.
He's a stat stuffer.
We love fantasy in this house.
Yeah,
He was great during the regular season, and then the first round of the playoffs, he was just not it.
Exactly. So it's like,
gonna depend on how they do in the playoffs.
Totally.
For sure.
And,
but also Tibbs, is doing great things with their defense. If it wasn't for the high level of defense that they're playing, they definitely would be a bottom of the barrel team.
True.
For sure. Because their offense is relatively lackluster.
Yeah.
And let's go back to the Bulls. That was my original idea.
You did want to talk about the Bulls.
But okay, so they were undefeated when I was taking notes on them. But again, the pickups they had this offseason, not really. I mean, Lonzo was good. DeMar was questionable, but he's playing really well for not being able to shoot threes or like barely able to shoot threes. Vucevic is still going to step up. I think the most underrated pickup they got was Alex Caruso.
Alex Caruso is balling out.
And the Lakers
Chicago right now.
sorely miss him. That's all I'm going to say. The Lakers sorely miss Alex Caruso. He's shaking his head, but the Lakers miss Alex Caruso.
They totally do. And they replaced him with another token white guy too, which is great.
Wait, who is it?
I forget his name, but I think he might be a rookie. But they're just clowning all over on social media.
Yeah.
They got rid of Caruso,
now they're 0-8 or whatever.
White guy on the team, and then they've replaced him, and then look at him now. They're not Caruso's balling out in Chicago, and then the Lakers are having quite a few problems with their team right now.
Indeed. And the one thing I want to bring up was when they had their 4 wins or the undefeated season they had for about a week. But the thing about it was that I looked at the teams they were playing against. They played the Pistons twice, and I think the hardest competition they had was the Raptors. That was it. And that's what it looked really good, but the teams they played against were not that great. So you can't really say they were great, and you got to wait for their next stint of games to figure out if they're actually good, like the Knicks and whoever they have.
Yeah, when they start playing teams that are actually going to be contenders.
Yeah, exactly.
Playoff contenders.
Exactly. But I mean, what are y'all's thoughts about the Bulls in general? We already talked about it a little bit, but I feel confident they could at least make the playoffs, or an 8 seed or a 7 seed.
No, I think
that's my thing.
I think they're making the playoffs. I mean, you look at Lonzo right now, and honestly, the dude's balling out. All right, I mean, he's shooting about 7 threes a game, shooting 38%. So, he definitely improved his shot over the past couple seasons, and now it's really coming to fruition. He's going to be running this offense, pretty much. I mean, Zach obviously is going to get the most shots and the most touches, but Lonzo, for the floor general. They got just good pieces around him. DeRozan, like you said, I was also very questionable about that at the beginning of the season and last year, but right now, he's doing good things for them. All he needs to do is finish at the rim and grab rebounds, and they put the shooters around him. So I think that he was definitely a questionable pickup, but I think he's working out for them now.
I'm a little bit more of a harsher critic of them. I think that Lonzo's doing okay. He's shooting more efficiently than not, but I do think that sorry about that. I do think that Lonzo probably will figure out a groove, but I don't think that he's going to be exponentially better than what we saw from him last season. And Caruso is kind of a bum. He's doing well because he's playing against crappier teams, and that's pretty much the case that it's going to play out in. He's not going to get as many minutes as he's been getting recently, because he will drop in some respect in some games, and then he's going to go back to the bench like he did before. So I'm not.
The Lonzo to Alex Caruso dunk, though. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it was a good dunk, but it's one play out of the 5 games that they played on, and that they clearly lost to the Knicks, which is definitely a more competitive team in the NBA than the rest of the teams that they've played, and it's only going to get harder from here. So I don't see the Bulls doing exponentially well, although I wouldn't count out them getting an 8th seed in the playoffs. I do think that is feasible.
Fair enough. That's the team I mainly want to talk about, and the Warriors, because they're both undefeated as of the time I was taking these notes. So we'll see. I know the last thing you guys wanted to add that was really quick, since we still have time. Again, we want to keep this to 30, 40 minutes. So the rule change. A lot of players are benefiting. A lot of players aren't. Everyone probably already knows the one player that's not benefiting from this rule change.
Knows who it is, and it is James Harden.
Oh, you're not wearing the James Harden.
I'm wearing the Durant jersey.
I was gonna point at his jersey and say this guy, but no.
It is James Harden right now. Even just watching him play, he's still what pisses me off.
Actually, first off, let's explain the rule before we go into Does anyone know word for word or better? Because I could explain it, but it's not gonna be as great.
I don't know it word for word, but basically the rule is that if the act of the defender has jumped into the air as the shooter has faked a shot, and they end up crossing into the shooter's range, and the shooter also jumps into the defender, it is no longer called a foul by the defender.
Yeah, and also I think part of that rule is the non-basketball moves that causing fouls.
Mention that. So you watch how James Harden got so many foul calls. He would do his little hook move or whatever, and then basically force the defender to foul him.
Yes.
So finally, they're picking up on that, and they're saying that that's no bueno and none of that, which I'm very happy about that. Even though James Harden is on the Nets,
I still through more.
That's what I'm saying. It's the NBA for the past few seasons is just been a foul every single play. Someone's getting to the line every single play, but now they're finally letting the game, gather some momentum. And I like it a lot better, honestly. And it also is kind of nice and refreshing to watch some of these guys who think certain things are fouls and then not get the call, and you're how does it feel, kind of thing, sure. It's great. Even watching James Harden not get some of his fouls, I'm sitting there buddy, you know it's not a foul,
exactly.
So I don't know why you're getting upset about it.
And I think that some players are even benefiting from this rule. There are big men in the league, one, for example, that stood out to me was Valanciunas. Jonas Valanciunas has been playing very well as of late, and he's much of an older player who has had to deal with this type of rule for many years, and now is finally getting towards his favor, and now he's doing really well with the Pelicans. So I think that the rule change is definitely benefiting some players and taking away from others, but I think that it is balancing it in some respect. There are other players who are known as the dinosaurs of the league, like Valanciunas, who don't really have much outside their game other than the post, and lacking in defense because of that kind of rule, but now is compensating for that and doing well and succeeding as a player.
Yeah, they're able, like, the wing defenders are now actually able to guard these 3-point shooters a lot better, you know, and they're not getting these, like, ridiculous...
Or scared to try to attempt to block.
Like, even just scared to do it, you know, and giving them, like, an open shot as opposed to fouling them. They know that they can actually, you know, like, put a hand in their face now and not get crap for it.
Exactly. Oh.
I know, like, one of the things I like seeing is, you know how Steph used to do this thing where, he'll step back, 3-point line, pump fake, wait for the defender to jump into him, and then he'll jump into the defender.
Yeah.
And then he'll get the foul.
I think Trae Young was more of a perpetrator of that.
Yeah, I mean, Trae Young definitely for sure. It's a bunch of these guys that do this. Yeah. But I know, like, it's just nice to see that not happening now, you know? Sure. Like, it's just refreshing, I think.
Yeah. Oh, also, another part of this was, I don't know the numbers exactly, but I know a lot of, like, news, like, sources have written about it, but, like, the NBA free throw numbers that are all-time low this season compared to every other season the NBA has ever been, like, a part of the thing, you know.
Which I love. So, I love that.
I think I like it playing through, but some calls are not getting called, which are blatantly calls that a lot of people like. I know my Celtics have had this problem. Like, Tatum's getting clearly, like, fouled, like he gets his arm slapped and getting slapped in the face, and they don't call it.
I think refs have more of an issue with getting the right amount of calls because you at the end of the day, you do have to think like, oh, they are human, they are going to make mistakes.
Of course they're going to.
But like, I mean, it is true that they should be on top of their shit as much as possible. So I mean, when there is a blatant call, it should be called. But you know, I do agree with Makoto that it in some respect that does happen a lot. It's in more recent times in the NBA, which is somewhat annoying to watch as a viewer, but ultimately, I mean, I think that they're gonna, you know, with this rule change, they have to kind of compensate for other foul calls and let some other stuff slide that may be similar to that kind of stuff, you know, vice versa and everything like that.
Yeah. You want to add anything to that?
Pretty much sums it up.
Yeah. I mean, again, we'll see how this goes. I think they're going to start calling more stuff later in the season once they start figuring out their groove and figuring out what, you know, get used to this new rule change.
I think, like, a lot of the fouls that they're missing, I think they're like, oh, I don't know if that was, like, a non-basketball move to try to draw the foul, you know? So I think you're right. Once, like, the season kind of picks up a little bit, they're going to hit their stride.
Yeah. So, and again, we kept this pretty short. I'm actually glad we're actually probably going to end this around 30 minutes. But again, I'm happy for season 2 to finally start. Excited for all this new stuff we are doing. We're back. We are back, and we're ready to make this a better podcast in general because I think season 1 was more of like a test run for me.
Yeah, definitely a trial.
And for all of us who were a part of it. So I'm excited to actually make this like a full-blown thing, especially, you know, I think we're juniors now. So a couple more years in college. So we're going to be I think we're going to be running this for another couple more years and even maybe even after.
We're hoping. Hoping for it.
But yeah, till next week, guys. We got a lot to talk about because the NBA season just started. And we might even go back to some of the preseason stuff if it does come up. But for right now, a lot of stuff in the NBA is going on. A lot of, like, again, this season seems like it's very different than every other season. So there's going to be definitely a lot to talk about every week. So till next week, everybody. Peace out.
Peace.